Good afternoon and welcome to today's KPMG Elevation Networks KPMG Insight Day. Thank you for joining. My name is Oris Ikomi and I'm just bear with me, just making sure that this is set up correctly. Hi, thank you to those of you who have joined in. I'm just having a bit of a technical difficulty at the moment, so just bear with me. Just want to make sure that I can see the screen correctly. So, welcome to today's webinar. Can you all see me all right? Can you see me all right? Just a quick yes or no if you can all see and hear me perfectly. Okay, I take that as a yes. Okay, so yeah, good afternoon and welcome to today's Elevation Networks KPMG Insight Day. My name is Oris Ikomi and I lead on a lot of our training and development programs, so working with students who are applying to opportunities such as the KPMG graduate program and Insight Day opportunities. So I deliver the training, so providing coaching and training to students who are who we work with on these various programs. And I will also be present on Friday at the Insight Day. So that is a bit about myself and what I do at Elevation Network. So the purpose of today's webinar is really to go through any burning questions that you may have, just to understand a bit more about how the day is going to run, understand a bit more about KPMG. And as I always say, there's no such thing as a silly question. So that's the purpose of today. But before we go any further, I just want to first of all thank you all for taking the opportunity to join me today, and I know you all have busy schedules from time at university, or I know some of you may have graduated already, taking that time out of your schedule to actually be here today. So I first of all want to commend all of you for being here, and also commend you for signing up to the Insight Day to find out more about KPMG. And I'm really keen to find out more a bit about you guys, to understand what you're hoping to get out of today's session and what you would like to get out of the Insight Day on Friday, and just to understand your expectations, so that just to ensure that I'm able to provide content or provide information that's relevant to yourself. So but before we get started with that, I'm just going to do a quick run through of some technicalities about how the webinar works. So if you notice on your screen, there is a section on there that says there's a Q&A button at the bottom, which should be at the bottom of your screen or on the right-hand side or above, depending on how the layout is on your side. There's a Q&A button. So if you have any questions, I would suggest to use that to ask any questions. So that way other people will be able to see your questions. And at the end of this webinar, there's also going to be an opportunity for us to conduct a short survey, just to understand how effective the webinar was for you, if it met your expectations, if you help to understand the application process. It's only going to take about 2 minutes or so just to get your feedback before we leave. The webinar should take about 45 minutes, up to an hour. Hopefully we're aiming to be finished by 3 o'clock. And what I would suggest is, I'll let you know when it's time to start asking. I know some people have already started asking questions. I'll come back to those, but I'll let you know when we can start with questions as we go along. So the first part is just to give you an overview of how the day is going to run. So I know people have started commenting about what they would like to get out of today's session. Bear with me whilst I get that up on the screen. So, Firmisk, good to see you again. I know you were on the civil service webinar last year and you went on to do the civil service diversity internship program. So congratulations and welcome back. So your first, what are the range of career types KPMG provides and what is the application process? Okay, so that's the first. The rest of you guys, what would you like to get out of today's session? Oh, you got the fast pass. Excellent. Fantastic. Well done. So what would the rest of you like to get out of today's session? And just to say, I want this to be, I always encourage for this to be as interactive as possible. And I know some of you may be joining the webinar for the first time, might be a bit anxious about asking questions or worried about what people think about your questions. And this is a safe space for us to, you know, to ask any question that we have. And the aim is for you guys to leave here feeling informed and equipped ahead of Friday. So I just want to encourage you all to please use this chance to ask any question that you have. Thank you, Firmusk. So Harman said he would like to get what makes KPMG different from other big four. Okay, that's an interesting one. We'll come back to that. So who would like to go? So let's use between the next sort of 2 minutes just to hear what you guys would like to get out of today's webinar. What is it about KPMG that appeals to you? Why KPMG? What do you like about KPMG? I just want to get a feel for, you know, what you guys are up to before we get started. Never been to an Insight Day before. What further opportunities can you get from an Insight Day? Okay. I mean, it's not a bad first Insight Day to be attending. So yeah, well done to you, David. So how can my application stand out? Okay, that's from Tanya, fantastic. I would like to know more about how we can use and maximize the Insight Day fully. I would also like to get to know a little bit more about KPMG so I am better prepared to network with others at the Insight Day. Again, just wanted to make a really good point on the back of that, actually, because everyone on this webinar right now are all going to be there on Friday. So this is a chance for you guys to also get to know one another. I know it's not possible for you to see each other right now, but it's a chance for you guys to also start interacting so that come Friday, you know, you're all on the same page or familiarize, you've had a chance to actually familiarize yourself with other people on here. So it's a chance for you guys to acquaint, I suppose, and to almost start that networking and engaging beforehand because you're all going to meet yourself on Friday in person. So in other words, what can I do to be a more competitive applicant before I apply? Okay, I'm going to answer live so you guys can see other people's thoughts. I think you should now be able to see the comments from everyone else. Okay, so what about the rest of you? So I've had comments from a handful. So we have 18 people on here. What about the rest of you? What would you like to get out of Friday? And what would you like to get out of today's session? If you haven't commented yet, I'm keen to hear your thoughts as well. What you'd like to get out of the session today? We can't see others' questions. Okay, I suppose I'll read out the question. So people asking things like, I would like to know more about how we can use and maximize the Insight Day fully. And how can we stand out? How can my application stand out? It's my first webinar. What further opportunities can you get from an Insight Day? Okay, I'm going to extend this a bit further by saying, what would success look like to all of you on Friday? What would a successful Insight Day look like? Just give a minute or two just to go through that before I crack on. All right, it doesn't seem like anyone wants to comment, so I'm going to get started. Oh no, we have a comment. I'd like to know a bit more about what the Insight Day entails and how my skills can be used in a company like KPMG. Okay. And I know what divisions of the financial sector I want to specialize in. Will there be Will there be employees from a broad range of sectors present, or is this insight specialized towards one sector? Okay, good. I'll come back to all of that. Hopefully, when I go through this quick overview about what it is going to look like, some of your questions it may answer some of your questions, just to learn about the different roles within KPMG. Fantastic. So officially get started. So as an organization, we work with organizations like KPMG to bridge the gap between students from diverse backgrounds to have access to opportunities with the likes of KPMG and other partners that we work with. And this is why we put together Insight Days, which gives you a direct access to the organizations to interact with people who are currently working at KPMG, to understand the application process, to understand the organizational culture, and there's a chance for you to network with people who are working there currently. So with the overall aim to ensure that you're able to make an informed decision about if KPMG is the right organization for you. So the purpose of Friday is really just to give you all an overview and an insight into the organization, where you get a chance to practice, go through the assessment practice. So you get a taste of what the assessment process looks like. And also it gives you an opportunity to have a behind the scene tour of the KPMG offices, to interact with different members of staff and to ask as many questions as possible so that you leave there feeling informed. If KPMG is the right organization for you, at least you live there feeling convinced that it's the right thing for you to do. And perhaps if that's not the case at this point in time, at least it may sway your decision after the webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the video, and then but you should be able to still hear me during the webinar. So the webinar, the Insight Day is going to a bit about KPMG, so about the programs that they offer. So KPMG offers a graduate program. So this is for people in their final year or I would like to network with people. That's always, okay, that's a comment from Travis, fantastic. So KPMG offers a series of programs. They offer a graduate program, an undergraduate program, as well as apprenticeship. However, the ones that will be relevant to all of you on the day is the graduates and undergraduates program. So the graduate program is specifically for those who are in the final year of university or have already graduated or recently graduated and are looking to apply for a role within KPMG. And the different roles under the graduate program ranges from audit to consulting and deal advisory, KPMG business services, technology, tax, pensions, and legal. So for those of you who asked earlier that you would like to know the different roles or the different sort of jobs within KPMG, so these are this hopefully would have answered your question. So you have the audits area, consulting and deal advisory, KPMG business services, tax, pensions and legal, and technology. And for the undergraduate program, this is broken down into a vacation program, so just a summer program, as well as you have the Insight Days, which we are going to be doing on Friday, and you have also a one-year business placement. So this is for those of you who are currently on a degree program that allows you to take on a year out to do a placement year. So you can also apply to KPMG's one-year placement program, as well as the internship programs, to learn more about the organization. So what we are doing, as well as the Insight Day, we are working in partnership with KPMG to provide coaching and training support to candidates who will be going on to apply for a role within KPMG. So we'll be running a series of one-to-one coaching, a series of webinars to really go through the application processes, which I'll go through with you guys very shortly. So this is to ensure that you're all equipped and have an understanding of what KPMG are looking for, and to give you the best possible chance to be successful in your application. So that's part of our the work with part of our partnership work with KPMG to provide coaching and support to candidates. So a few things for you to be aware of about KPMG. Again, this webinar, the broadcast will be shared with you guys afterwards for you to replay at your own convenience. So a few things to be aware of about KPMG, especially with any organization that you apply to, is what is known as a competencies or behavioral capabilities. In this case, KPMG has a list of behavioral capabilities, which is crucial for you all to familiarize yourselves with ahead of Friday. Because why this is important is because it gives you an insight into what KPMG will be measuring candidates against. So the different application process are measured against their behavioral capabilities. And these include things like career motivation. So deciding where to begin your career can be a challenging process. However, you might apply to different organizations, but at KPMG, they want to see that you have thoughts about why you want to work for KPMG in particular, and have thought carefully about your chosen field and location. Because what this does, it gives the employer an insight into whether you are the right fit, you have the right motivation for the organization. Because, to say you have the right motivation to work there. And as you would appreciate, taking in an employee is an investment. So organizations spend thousands of pounds. So as a question from Firmus, if this is the civil service competency, no, it's not the same. However, most organizations probably might have similarities, but they tend to have unique competencies or behavioral capabilities that they measure against. But generally tends to be there's crossover similarities. And going back to career motivation, so as you would appreciate, organizations spend thousands of pounds to invest in new employees, so putting together assessment centers, insight days. So this is why they have to make sure that the people that they bring on board has the right motivation and they're clear as to why they want to work for KPMG. And secondly is deliver on quality. Again, the expectation is that employees deliver exceptional results because they have clients that are very high profile. So this is why it's essential that the employees that they bring on board are able to deliver to a high exceptional results to a high quality, and keeping a structured approach to your work, keeping track of progress towards a goal, and plan ahead and manage multiple tasks. You may ask, how can I demonstrate this if I haven't worked in a professional environment yet? So some of the things that you would have done already at university, you can demonstrate where you have demonstrated a structured approach to your work. So your coursework, your university projects, and whatever part-time job you have. So demonstrating how you'll be able to manage that together. So these are examples that you can give on how to manage a structured approach to work. And for example, how do you plan ahead and manage multiple tasks efficiently? So again, it's looking at if you're part of a society, for example, how do you manage combining your responsibilities and commitments as a society member or society committee member to combine that with your university projects. So these are ways that you can demonstrate that. And thirdly, you have behavioral capabilities such as collaboration and inclusion. So again, this is about looking at building a deep relationship within KPMG. This is something that is a big part of their success, building a deep relationship amongst colleagues and staff. So working in a collaborative manner, because again, you're working with people from different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds and experiences. So they want to see people who are able to adapt and work in a team environment. Again, you all should have demonstrated this by now through working in a group task at university, might also be at work. So a lot of you are pretty much competent already. It's just a case of effectively communicating these, what you have done against what KPMG are looking for. And again, people who are striving for continual improvement, so looking at how you develop yourself. Are you open to feedback? Do you look to guidance, or do you look for ways to challenge yourself? Do you look for ways to improve on your understanding and your skills? Do you take on extra training programs? For example, you guys attending today's webinar is a sign of going above and beyond to develop yourself further. So it's just a case of looking at how you can demonstrate where you've achieved or demonstrated these capabilities, behavioral capabilities. So social professional judgment makes an impact. Again, do you communicate your idea in a persuasive manner, both verbally and written? And do you keep your ideas concise? Do you cut through jargon to provide a clear message for your audience? Again, because of the nature of the organization, they work with high-profile clients. So this is why it's important that they look for people who are able to demonstrate these traits and behavioral traits, and when they bring on successful applicants to join the organization. Again, the good thing is, if you are successful with your application, for those of you who've gone to apply, you will receive training. However, it's important to understand these traits at the moment, because this is what you'll be assessed on, right from the online test to the psychometric test, as well as the assessment center day, which is called Launchpad. And also finally, there's resilience. Again, testing on your resilience, looking at how you cope when faced with challenges, and how do you overcome barriers to achieve your goal. And what's important is how people react to these challenges and keep motivated whilst under pressure. So again, all this information can be found on the KPMG website. So if you go to kpmgcareers.co.uk, you see the section. I will share more about the application process shortly, Firmisk, bear with me. So again, you can find out more information about these different behavioral capabilities. What I would highly recommend is that you read through this before Friday, to go on the website to read through all of this. Some of you may have done so already, but for those of you who haven't had the chance to do so, please ensure that you do so beforehand. So we've gone through the behavioral capabilities, and now we are going to go through the application process. So the application process is broken into 5 stages. This is for the graduate program. The internship program is pretty much identical, as well as the one-year placement is pretty much identical, but there are differences. Well, so it's important to be aware of the differences. So I'm going to go through the application process for the graduate program. So the first stage is an online application form. And this is a chance for you to tell KPMG about your academic background and any work experience you may have undertaken so far. And this could include, working doing your retail, your part-time retail job. And usually people tend to think that working in a retail environment isn't as, prestigious or high profile, as saying that organizations such as KPMG may not necessarily take that into consideration. However, they do. The main thing is about demonstrating what you have done, because they want to, as I went through the behavioral capabilities earlier, they want to use to see, based on what you've done, to measure you against those capabilities, because that would be the first stage where they make a judgment to take you further on into the process or not. So this is a chance for you to sell yourself. Usually when you hear questions such as, tell me about yourself, what employers are really asking for is for you to sell on what you have done in relation to what they're looking for. In this case, to sell what you have done in relation to the behavioral capabilities that we went through earlier. So one of them, for example, is, as I went through earlier, is about career motivation. So let's say, tell me about yourself. Why would you want to work for KPMG? This is a chance for you to actually sell what your motivation is behind wanting to work for the organization. So is there anything in particular that impresses you about KPMG? Is there anything that you have seen on the website that makes you think, actually, this is an organization that, is aligned to my values? Do they invest in, so what's important to you as a person? Is it opportunity to develop yourself? Is it opportunity to be exposed to work in a high pressure environment? So you want to use this chance to actually compare, to highlight your motivation against what KPMG are looking for. So that way it gives them an impression to say, this person would definitely want to find out more about them. And just to go back on that point quickly, I would say, imagine application process as just a way to find out more about you. Can I just make a suggestion for us to hold the questions till after the presentation? We'll be able to go through questions and answer after that, please. So what I would suggest, so view application every stages. So for those of you who love playing computer games, you go through different levels. So from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to until you complete the game. So the same way with application. So level 1 is online application form for you to spend 20 minutes to say a bit more about yourself. And there's no need to upload your CV on this process. So, and then it gives them an opening to say what you want to achieve there, to say, we want to hear more about this person. They sound like an interesting candidate to find out more about. They've done amazing stuff during university. They have, give examples of any project you've worked on, and then it gives them a chance to get to know more about what you're capable of doing. And this is where it goes on to the next stage, which is stage 2, which is the situational judgment test. Again, most of you, if not all, would already be familiar with the situational judgment test, because most of the large corporate employers tend to use the same process. So the situational judgment test is where, after submitting your application form, you receive a link to the situational judgment test within 1 working day, where you'll be asked to consider, hypothetically, challenging situations that you might encounter as a trainee with KPMG. You will have the choice of possible responses to each one. Although the test is untimed, the recommended time to complete it is usually within 30 minutes, and you will need to take this in the same sitting. So although you have up to 7 days to complete it, but from the moment you start, you have to finish it within that, they roughly say about 30 minutes to complete it. But you don't have to only start until when you're ready. So that's what the advice normally is. And what a situational judgment test is, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is basically where you're given a series of hypothetical questions to see how you would relate to the different situations. The trick about situational judgment tests is people tend to approach them based on how it makes sense to them. So it would be, for example, let's say, if you're given a task to respond to, a client by 5 p.m., how would you deal with this? So that's a situation, that's a scenario. Some people may say, actually, I may leave this till, 4:30 p.m. and then to respond to the client. However, the key is to look at there are clues within the questions, which gives you, which prompts you into how, for example, if it's time pressing, you want to look at if they mention specific times or dates for you to be aware of, for you to then respond within that given time. And what this also tests on is testing you against the behavioral capabilities I mentioned earlier, to see how you would behave as a KPMG trainee, not how you would do it in your own day-to-day life, but they want to see how you would think as like a KPMG employee. So this is where studying the behavioral capabilities is important, so that when you are answering these questions, you'll be answering them from that perspective and not how you think or how you think it should be, how it makes sense to you, but rather how it makes sense to KPMG. And they want you to answer those questions based on how they behave. So I hope that's clear. Again, if it's not clear, I can clarify that later on. Again, it's a chance for you to find out more on the day. And the third stage is online numerical and verbal reasoning test. Again, if you are successful, you'll be able to complete this online verbal and numerical reasoning test. It's designed especially for KPMG. So what they look for is your ability to analyze numerical and verbal data skills that you will need on the job. So this is a crucial part of KPMG day-to-day running. Again, each test will take about 20 minutes and it's timed. So make sure you have enough time before you begin, as each test would need to be taken in the same sitting. As with the situational judgment test, you will need to complete this test within 7 days. And they strongly advise that you practice similar tests before you complete the ones from KPMG. Again, there are resources online for you to practice. And over the coming weeks, we will be running a series of practice sessions, webinar sessions as well, to equip you guys with to ensure that you are ready beforehand. Again, the key is about to practice as much as possible before taking both tests. And they always advise that do not expect to complete the test, because it's been set intentionally to be pressurizing. So something to bear in mind when complete. So don't expect to finish the test. They're designed to put you under pressure, under time pressure, something to bear in mind. So just in case you don't get a chance to complete it, don't feel so bad. Do they have KPMG? Again, I'm going to come back to the questions later on. And then the fourth stage is the digital submission. Again, this is if you are successful in the reasoning test, you'll be invited to complete a digital submission in an audio format. Some organizations use video, or in KPMG's case, they use audio. So it's a 120 second audio submission where you have the opportunity to demonstrate both your communication skills and your motivation towards a career at KPMG. Again, they'll be assessing, you against the behavioral capabilities, particularly career motivation, seizes business opportunities, and makes an impact. So these are the key areas that you want to be aware of, particularly for the graduate program. So your career motivation, seizing business opportunities, and making an impact. So those are the key areas you want to really, focus on when studying the behavioral capabilities. And then you have up to 3 days to complete your recording. Again, all this information can be found on the website. And finally, if you make it through these different stages, then you have the final opportunity for them to get to know more about you in person. So up until the last stage, everything is done online, done digitally. So the reason why most organizations started to do this is to reduce any unconscious biases so that candidates are assessed solely based on their performance against the behavioral capabilities that has been set. So if you make it through the different stages, then you go to the final launchpad recruitment stage. This is a day event where you'll be able to, like an assessment center, where you have the opportunity for you to learn more about, the fantastic career opportunities available at KPMG. And also during the day, they'll be looking for you to demonstrate your behavioral capabilities that will give them confidence that you will be successful working at the firm. This is where they get the chance to meet you for the first time in person, and for you to actually, effectively sell yourself in person to them. And also you have the opportunity to meet, people from the organization, including those within the area that you have applied to, and from partners to graduate trainees. So partners, for those of you who may not be familiar, are the people who own the organization. So these are the owners of the company, basically. These are known as partners. So you get a chance to meet them at the Launchpad recruitment event. Again, if you are successful, which I hope most of you will be, you'll be offered a job within 2 working days, which is excellent. So they are one of the only organizations I know offer places within 2 working days, which is fantastic. And just to give you guys a bit of a clue, the reason behind that is they understand that they're competing with other employers for your talent and for your skills. This is why they want to get to you as quickly as possible. And if you are unsuccessful, again, you'll be notified, you'll be offered the option to request feedback. So that's the 5 application stages. So stage 1 is online application form. It's a 20 minutes form to talk about yourself and your academic background and what your work experience is. And you don't need to upload a CV. And followed by stage 2, which is a situational judgment test, which is an opportunity for you to respond to a series of hypothetical questions and scenarios, and to see how you will deal with them, because they're measuring you against the behavioral capability, how someone, a KPMG graduate trainee, would behave. And the third stage is an online numerical and verbal reasoning test, mainly looking at analyzing on your analytical and reasoning skills. And the fourth stage is a digital 120-second digital submission. It's an audio submission where you get to demonstrate your communication skills and your motivation towards a career at KPMG. The areas being assessed in this area are the career motivation, seizing business opportunities, and makes an impact. And finally, the Launchpad recruitment event, where you get a chance to meet the KPMG team in person. So that's the application process. I hope that's given you guys a bit of an overview of what to expect in the application process. Again, you can find out more information about this online. So I'm going to quickly go through what the date is going to look like on Friday before I start taking questions. So the day is expected to start at 10 a.m. on the dot. So you're all expected to arrive at 9:30, no later than 9:30 on Friday morning. So no later than 9:30 on Friday. And breakfast will be provided, so croissants and fruits. So I know most of you will be traveling from as far as Yorkshire, University of Hull. So they've made accommodation for light breakfast to be provided in the morning. So registration will start from 9:30. And for us we may start at 9:50, start an icebreaker session at 9:50. So it's important that you're all there, because there will be a senior member of staff who will be doing the welcome from KPMG, who has a very limited time frame availability. So it's a chance for you to, so it's important for you to be there to learn more, to be part of that session. And if for whatever reason you are going to be running late in the day, you need to communicate that with us in advance. And whilst on that note, I know Faith emailed you her contact number. However, it's going to be myself on the day, who will be representing Elevation Network. So my number is, if you want to make a note of this, my work number is 07740 529 582. I'm going to repeat that again. My contact number is 07740 529 582. So this is for you all to, if you have any questions on there, to get in touch with me. So after the welcome, there will be an overview. The overview welcome for KPMG, there'll be a said icebreaker, and then the staff member who will be leading, they will give an overview about KPMG. This will then be followed by a careers carousel, where you get the chance to meet managers. I know some of you asked earlier if you get a chance to meet, employees from different departments. So yes, this is a chance where you get to learn more about the different divisions within KPMG, get to meet different people from different teams within the organization. And this will take about an hour. And so basically it's a round table where different members of staff go across different tables to interact with you guys, to share what they do, to share what their day-to-day looks like. And there's a chance for you to ask them questions, interact with them as well. And this will be followed by a lunch break. And then you get a chance to tour KPMG's Technological Insight Center. Again, the perception usually is that KPMG is a finance firm. However, they're very heavy on technology. So you get the chance to actually go behind the scenes to see the Technology Insight Center. And then this will be followed by an application boot camp, where you get to learn more about not just to learn more about the application processes, but you also get a chance to practice the situational judgment questionnaire, as well as the psychometric testing. So this is a good chance to get a feel for the process. And after this, there may be a chance for a possible Q&A, depending on time, because it's quite a tight, action-packed day. And after the application bootcamp and possible Q&A, then we'll go on to the last session of the day, which should be a competition. This is where you're set a challenge. You get put in a team, you're set a challenge, and then a business challenge. And then as a team, you'll then work on coming up with a solution to your challenge and present it to the team at KPMG. I'm assuming this is very similar to what the Launchpad recruitment event looks like. So there's a chance for you guys to get a feel for that, and also to get used to presenting your case forward, and also a chance for you to practice some of the points that were mentioned in the behavioral capabilities, particularly being concise and getting your points across in an efficient manner, and making an impact. So presenting your case in a persuasive manner, both verbally and in writing. So, and also to avoid the jargon and provide a clear message. So get a chance for you to actually to be measured against makes an impact. So again, what you guys want to do is to make a good impression of yourself by, reading through the capabilities beforehand. Will put you in a really strong position on Friday. Again, remember, they are running several insight days with other organizations. So this is the one that they are doing with us. So bear in mind that you will be competing with other students from different institutions. So it's a chance for you to make a good impression of yourselves. And who knows, you may have a chance to actually build good network and make it, build connection on the day. So that's how the day is going to run. Now, I'm sure you guys have more questions. There are questions on the screen already. So I'm just going to, so I hope that's given you an overview of what to expect on Friday, and also an overview about the application process, and also an understanding into KPMG, who they are, and what they're looking for. With that said, I'm going to now start going through the questions. And before I do that, is there anyone not clear on what's been presented so far? Again, just to highlight, the reason why you've all been invited to the Insight Day is because you already meet one of the key criteria that KPMG assess candidates on, and that is the UCAS points. So you all have. So yes, so I'm coming back to that, Jay. So you have already met the UCAS requirements, so you have good grades. So in terms of university grades, I'm sure it's about minimum 2-1 that they look for. However, I would really look back to that question, which is, is there a reasonable prospect of being considered? So long as that's a very good question asked. Actually, I'm going to make all the questions visible so you can all see them. And also, guys, if you like to ask the questions for everyone to be able to hear you, let me know. I can promote you to be a panelist so you can be heard as well. So Aisha's question is there a reasonable prospect of being considered for a role, or is it unlikely when there are students that are better positioned, i.e. have better grades and experience in the industry? I want to be realistic during my application. First of all, I doubt any undergraduate, any final year students applying for the graduate program would have had any industry experience. Yes, some of you may have. Obviously, if you have done an internship role at different organizations, is a chance for you to sell that. And even if you haven't done so, if you have any part-time jobs that you have been on, it's important actually for you to sell that. But the key thing is less about the grades, because what KPMG are actually more interested in is the behavioral capabilities. So the more you study and understand, what you need to focus on is the behavioral capabilities, and really study and understand that and go through each of them. So in total, there are 9 behavioral capabilities. What you want to do, what I'd highly recommend is to actually go through each and give examples of when you have, how you have actually demonstrated or met, how you meet these capabilities. And one framework that you can actually use to do so is using the STAR technique, which stands for situation, task, action, and results. So that using that framework, you can actually use that to effectively measure yourself to actually say, okay, how do I meet up against career motivation? Okay, this is why I want to work for KPMG. Has there been a situation where I have demonstrated my motivation? Say, let's say your motivation is because you believe in, the people having the opportunity to develop themselves. Has there been an example where you've demonstrated career motivation or passion for developing yourself? Could you give an example of that? Where have you demonstrated that in the past? Could you give an action where you demonstrated that? Could give a result based on the action that you took? So the main thing is to focus more on the behavioral capabilities rather than the grade. Yes, the grade is just one of the metrics, but that's not the most important metrics. The most important metrics actually is competent. Are you competent? Do you meet what they're looking for? Do you understand what they're looking for? That's what I'd focus on more than the actual grades in itself. So I hope that answers your question. Again, the reason I spent some time on that is because that's essential. That's where most people tend to fail and drop off, because they haven't taken the time to actually understand the competency, in this case, the behavioral capabilities of KPMG or any organization that they apply to. And the temptation is, by failure to do so, leads people to actually answering questions based on how they would perceive, how they would approach it. I have made that mistake in the past. And I realized this is actually where I failed in most interviews, because I did not realize that what employers are looking for is simply measuring you against their key competencies. So that's what you need to be aware of. Secondly, other question is, can you delay starting the job after you're offered a job to finish postgraduate studies? Firmus, I do not know the answer to that question. So I would suggest to ask on the day, to bring that question with you on the day, because I do not have the answer, unfortunately. And the next question from James is, in the audio submission, are you answering interview questions you're just selling yourself? They will provide you a set of questions for the audio submission. So the questions are provided to you, and then you answer the questions accordingly. So again, it's about practicing the questions before you submit your final answer. And again, with that, the main thing is the fact is 120 seconds. They want to see how you can be concise and getting your points across in a very concise manner. It's not about getting it right or getting it perfect. It's just about, again, demonstrating against the behavioral capabilities. So I hope that answers your question, James. So we have another question. What if we have a lot of work experience? Would you recommend demonstrating only our top relevant 3 to 4 so that they are highlighted better? As I've heard that HR only spends so long screening each application. So in such case, would it be better to leave out some? That's a question from Anand. Yes, it's always, whatever you include, whether work experience makes, you got to ask yourself, how is this relevant to what they are asking of me? If you cannot answer yes to that question, then my suggestion would be leave it out. So there's that temptation. I think I've fallen that temptation myself to say, because we get excited to say what we have done. However, in some cases, it's not relevant. So you want to make points that are relevant particularly to the behavioral capabilities that were listed earlier. So I hope that answers your question, Anand. So guys, this is a chance for you to, so we have about 10, 15 minutes, a chance for you to ask as many questions as possible before we move on. So does KPMG only have offices in London? No, the beauty of it is KPMG has offices across the UK, from Scotland to Birmingham to Bristol to Cambridge to Cardiff to, in Scotland you have in Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Gatwick, Glasgow, and so on. So the locations, again, can be found on the KPMG website. They have offices in Leeds. I know, Firmus, you asked a question earlier if they have offices in Yorkshire. Yes, they do. They have an office in Leeds. They have one in Liverpool, Manchester, Milton Keynes, Newcastle, Nottingham, Plymouth, Reading, Southampton, Watford, and London. So it is nationwide across the UK, well, across England and Scotland. So again, guys, I just want to highlight, make sure you go through the website on the graduate section of on the careers.co.uk, so www.kpmgcareers.co.uk section of the website has all the key information. For example, why KPMG? Again, this is where you can find out more as to why you want to work for the organization. This is because in this section, they've sold themselves as to why they're the right organization for you. Because you also have to remember that they are fighting for your skills and your talent. So they have to, as well as them, you impressing them, they also have to impress you. So they've told you why you should work for them. So it's for you to read through people's testimonials, read through their values, read through, things about the organization that would make you see if they're the right choice for you. And once you've made that decision, honestly, in most cases, your motivation level goes higher, and that tends to come forward in how you respond to the application forms. So again, it's really down to you and your honesty as to how honest you want to be throughout the process. And this could have a bearing in your application. Again, there's a question on are any cover letters involved also? No, there are no cover letters. There's no need for a CV either. So the first stage of the online application form is only for you to talk about your academic background as well as any relevant work experience that you have. And then they haven't even, that session doesn't even include having a CV present. So there's no need for, you will not need to submit a CV or application form. No, there will be no need for a CV in the application form. Again, guys, I want to say some of this information you should already know by now. I would have expected most of you, or if not everyone, to have gone on the website to do your background research about the organization. Again, if you are going to be attending Insight Day, which is on Friday, you should pretty much know everything there is to know about the organization by now. So I hope that will change after today, so that it should not be, again, as an employer, if you're asking me, the question you're asking me as an employer, I'll tell you this now, it's not something that employers take lightly too, because there would have been this expectation already that you would have done your background research about organizations before attending even the webinar. So just something to bear in mind for the future. Okay, again, a question from Aisha is, can you apply for more than one role at the same time for the same period, i.e. tax and audits intern during the summer? That's a good question. I do not have the answer to that, but what I'd say, bring that question with you on Friday. And question from Firmus is, what are the development opportunities for professional qualification? Again, I think the team at KPMG will be best placed to answer that question, Firmus. What I'd say is to have that question with you. Again, this is good that you guys are asking a question. Bring these questions, the ones I'm not able to answer today, bring them with you on Friday, because they are expecting a lot of questions from you. Because remember, they've gone out of their way to have as many employees as possible to come out of their day-to-day, work. So they are expecting you to ask questions. Again, don't be shy, I would say. You mentioned earlier the difference between the undergraduate program for summer vacation scheme and the grad scheme. Could you highlight these? Again, what I'll do, John, I will send the link to this webinar will be shared with everyone. So I'd recommend that you watch through. I'm just conscious of time to watch through the webinar again, to have answers to be able to pick up on what the differences are. Again, alternatively, you can also find out more about that on the KPMG website, which is kpmg.careers.co.uk. A lot of online practice tests for Big Four firms each cost money. Can you provide the names or links of some suppliers that have a decent number of practice, numerical and verbal tests? Again, what I'd say, that's quite, James, that question, my suggestion would be, again, there is one that we use. I cannot remember off the top of my head at this point in time. Let me see if I can find it actually, just bear with me. So Assessment Day is called Assessment Day. And the website is assessmentday.co.uk. You can also buy, as well as they have a practice, practice papers that you can use to practice as well. But the main thing, guys, just to highlight on that, the main thing is you really want to understand this. It's good to practice, but the main thing is you want to understand KPMG's capabilities, so behavioral capabilities when answering, because that's what will be more relevant to KPMG. So practice just to get a feel for how situation judgment questionnaire test works. But the main thing is to understand KPMG's behavioral capabilities. So to answer James' question again, is the one that we use is assessmentday.co.uk. In terms of the application process, again, James, John, I'll suggest to visit the KPMG website to find out more about application process and the difference between the undergraduate and the graduate program. Again, we answered any cover letters involved. This question was answered earlier. No, you do not need to include a cover letter or a CV. Before we leave, guys, before you leave, I just have a quick, I know someone's asked if they can leave. Can we spend the next few seconds just to quickly complete the survey question, just to let me know your feedback about today's show? I'm going to launch, it should take about 2 minutes. If I could ask you, please kindly complete that before, in the next 2 minutes, and then we'll continue the webinar. I know some people have asked if they can leave early. So if we can spend the next 2 minutes just to go through this quickly, that would be greatly appreciated. So I know someone has said that they haven't booked your travel. If you haven't booked your travel, whoever has responded to the question saying they haven't booked their travel, could you please let me know if and when you were booking your travel, so that way we can confirm the final weeks. We need to confirm the final numbers with KPMG by latest tomorrow morning. So could you let me know if you haven't booked your travel? Just let me know. Comment below to let me know when you will be booking your travel. So we have 17 people on here currently. So we should, all 17 of you should preferably be completing the survey. So currently we have 11 of 17 people who are completing the survey. So meaning there's about 6 more people who are yet to start completing. If I could ask you to please kindly complete, that would be much appreciated. So waiting for 4 more people to complete the survey. Okay, going to leave this up for another 30 seconds. So if you're yet to complete it, could I ask you to kindly complete it before we round up? Thank you. I think that's everyone complete. Okay. I'm going to spend this next 5 minutes just to go through any concerns that you guys may have about Friday. Any concerns? Again, like I said, mentioned earlier, this is a safe space for us to, interact. The main thing is to ensure that you all feel confident about Friday and you are fully equipped and prepared. Could I ask you to perhaps just share any final thoughts, any final questions that I may have not had a chance to actually go through? Can you exchange we only need to confirm travel if we're outside London, right? So yeah, so if people come, yeah, if you're outside London, like I said, KPMG will be providing travel on the day. So cover your travel costs if you're traveling from outside of London. So yes, so if you are coming from outside London, your travel will be reimbursed back to you. So someone said that they will be arriving at 9:50. I mean, obviously, if you can get there on by 9:30, that would be fantastic. Or if you're not, thanks for letting us know in advance. Again, I'll be taken on board, but it will not affect you on the day for arriving just before 10. Again, you're not being assessed or judged on the day. It's just a day for you to find out more about the organization. We only need to confirm travel if we're outside of London. No, even if whether you are traveling in London or not, you still need to confirm with us to make sure that you are. The main thing, just confirm that you are going to be there. That's why we ask people to confirm travel, so we know who is definitely going to be there or not. Again, so there's a question from what will the Insight Days into Technology Division involve? So the insight, so you'll be having a tour of the Technology Insight Center. So this is where you get to find out more about the team who work within the Technology Insight Center and to really understand what they do. And I'm sure, I'm assuming that the reason why KPMG want people to actually, visit that center is because there's a heavy focus on investing in technology. So I suppose it's, showcasing that to graduates who may as a potential route that to actually into KPMG. So if finance or the traditional KPMG area is not for you, so this is something that might be of an interest. So they're almost like, for them, it's about encouraging more people to express an interest in the technology division, Technology Insight Center. So that's what that is going to be about. So interacting with colleagues, staff members who work there, understanding what they do, understanding more about the background about the centre, and just to learn more about it, pretty much. Someone's asked, can we exchange LinkedIns with people here? I mean, you can do if you want to. Is a good idea. So you can all, if you're all happy for you to do so. If anyone's happy to exchange, so Timothy has asked if can we exchange LinkedIn? It's entirely up to you guys if you want to do so. It is always encouraged. I think it's always a good way to also to start interacting ahead of Friday and getting to know yourselves. So I think it helps as well when you get to know yourselves beforehand. It makes it less, you know, daunting on the day, because at least you would have had a chance to familiarize yourself with people who are going to be there with you. So again, on the day, we're all working together as a team. I know you're all from different institutions and have different expectations, different needs. You're there for different reasons. However, the key is just to get into the habit of being collaborative. And, you know, usually the tendency is to go there for our own, you know, our own personal gains. However, as you know, one of the things that they measure against its capability is your collaborative spirit. So get into the habit of doing that now, and ensure that you ask yourself how you're going to support other people to get the most out of the day at KPMG. So as I said earlier, so the purpose of Friday is for you to learn more about the organization and the application process, and to opportunity to decide if the KPMG is for you, and also for you to you know, leave them making an informed decision about your future with KPMG. And as part of our partnership with KPMG to put this Insight Day together, we will be providing coaching and training to candidates who will be applying to the different programs. I know all of you have indicated which programs you're interested in, so we will be providing coaching to those. So we have coaching for, I think, maximum 30 or 40 candidates. So this will be done on a first come, first served basis. There's limited resources, so it's important that you take hold of the opportunity as soon as we make that announcement. And also, you want to also find out when the deadline dates for the applications are as well, so you can start preparing yourself ahead of completing the application. And if any final question before I say goodbye? We offer coaching. So for those of you who we offer coaching for other employer programs. However, if you want to just ask for general support, you can also get in touch via campus. So the email address that we've communicated with most of you via campus@elevationnetworks.org, you can let us know via there if you would like additional supports in other applications as well. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you on Friday again. Have your questions ready, and most importantly, dress smartly and, you know, come prepared. We look forward to having you all there, and thank you again for taking your time to be present on today's webinar, and also for, you know, booking to attend the Insight Day on Friday, the 19th of October. We look forward to seeing you at 9:30 prompt. And if for whatever reason you cannot make it on time or are not able to make it at all, please be in communication with us. And the number on the day, my number on the day is 07740529582. That is 07740529582. Again, my name is Ori Sikomi, and I look forward to having you all present on the day. We're going to send a follow-up email with the link to this webinar to all of you. So again, I know some people are adding their LinkedIn. I'm just going to leave that on there if you want to add your LinkedIn, leave it for the next few minutes. But other than that, if you're more than welcome to sign off the webinar now. So I say thank you and see you all on Friday.